Venus is slightly smaller than Earth. Its mass, surface area, and diameter are about 10% less than Earth's, and Earth is a little bit more dense. In addition, Venus is much hotter, and while a day on Venus is almost 250 times a day on Earth, a year on Venus is a little over half of a year on Earth. Mars is nearly 10 times smaller than Earth, and it is also much less dense. It is much colder, and while a day on Mars is fairly similar to a day on Earth, a year on Mars is almost twice as long. There has only been solid ice and gas found on Mars, and different sources have different evidences of life. Venus is often referred to as Earth's twin because of their similar features. Around 300 to 500 million years ago, it is believed that Venus experienced a major volcanic resurfacing event that caused the planet to become so hot. Before this event, NASA believes that it might have been very Earth-like, as there's evidence of shallow oceans and possible life forms. Today, Venus is just the much hotter version of Earth. From space, Venus often appears to be white because of the acidic clouds that reflect the sunlight. The surface of Venus actually consists of gray and brown rocks. However, the thick atmosphere and sulfur dioxide clouds trap sunlight, making everything seem more red and orange. The limited information we have about Venus's surface is mostly from the Russian Venera missions, which took place in the 1970s. We know that Venus has a lot of volcanoes, and about 65% of the surface is rolling plains, land with lots of gentle hills and slopes without harsh, irregular features. A lot of these rolling plains are actually smooth lava. There are lava channels, some being as long as the Nile River, which are mostly near volcanoes. The planet is often broken up into two main continents, Ishtar Terra, which is about the size of South America, and Aphrodite Terra, which is about the size of Australia. There are no oceans on Venus, so these areas are separated because of their higher ground. Venus has very high mountains, which may be originally volcanic. The four main ones are Maxwell Montes, Freyja Montes, Acna Montes, and Danu Montes, which are all found on the continent of Ishtar Terra. Maxwell Montes is the largest and highest mountain range on Venus. Its highest elevation is about 11 kilometers above the average elevation, which is 2 kilometers higher than Mount Everest on Earth. Mountains form from the folding of the planet's crust, which suggests that Venus's surface could be in motion, like Earth's. There is strong evidence that volcanoes have erupted on Venus, mainly because there are a lot of newer-looking lava flows. Venus has over 150 large shield volcanoes and over 100,000 small shield volcanoes. The volcanoes are similar to Earth. They have gentle slopes, and it is actually thought that they form from basalt like the volcanoes in Hawaii. Mount Mons is the biggest volcano on Venus and the second highest point after the Maxwell Mons mountain range. It is a massive shield volcano that rises 8 kilometers above the average elevation. Two other known volcanoes are Sif Mons and Gula Mons. Gula Mons is the larger of the two, as its highest peak is 4 kilometers above the average elevation. Sif Mons reaches an elevation of about 2 kilometers, and its sides are a very gentle slope. The majority of Venus's surface is smooth due to recent lava flows and the major resurfacing event which occurred 300 to 500 million years ago. However, there are still about 1,000 known impact craters on Venus. Because Venus's atmosphere is so dense, small meteorites break up as they fall, creating clusters of overlapping craters. In addition, most of the craters are relatively young. The largest crater on Venus is the Meade crater. Its diameter is 280 kilometers. The crater has an inner and outer ring with some small ejecta. Most of the other craters are fairly small and have some ejecta as well. The surface of Mars is rocky with canyons, volcanoes, dry lake beds, and craters all over it. Red dust, due to the high levels of iron oxide, covers most of its surface. Mars seems to be divided into two parts, the heavily cratered southern highlands, which is over 3.5 billion years old, and the northern smooth lowlands, which resurfaced about 1 billion years ago. The north was resurfaced due to the more volcano activity or a large crater that broke the crust. However, some believe that it was filled by water ocean. A unique surface feature on Mars is the appearance of water and wind erosion. There are channels as much as 1,500 kilometers long and 200 kilometers wide that appear to have been cut by running water. Under the current atmospheric conditions, liquid water cannot exist unless it is solid or gas because of the low pressure, but these channels suggest that the atmosphere might have been denser before. Although the atmosphere is very thin, which is about 1/200th of the pressure of Earth's atmosphere, there are still very strong seasonal winds that create dust storms, leading to a lot of wind erosion. Lastly, what makes Mars very unique is that it also has polar ice caps, which are partly composed of carbon dioxide or dry ice and frozen water. Mars does not have any active volcanoes. Much of the heat stored inside the planet when it formed has been lost, and the outer crust of Mars is too thick to allow molten rock from deep below to reach the surface. A long time ago, when the volcanoes were active, they erupted, building enormous volcanoes and piles of ash. Some scientists believe that this lava is what melted a lot of the ice on Mars, creating the water channels. Mars is known for having the solar system's largest volcano, Olympus Mons. It is a shield volcano with a diameter of 622 kilometers, and it reaches a height of 25 kilometers. It is almost 3 times the size of Mount Everest. In comparison to the largest volcano on Earth, Mauna Loa, the volume of Olympus Mons is 100 times larger than that of Mauna Loa. In fact, the entire chain of the Hawaiian Islands could fit inside it. Many of the mountains on Mars have formed due to piles of lava from ancient eruptions. After Olympus Mons, which is the highest peak on Mars, the 3 other highest mountains are Arsia Mons, Ascraeus Mons, and Pavonis Mons. These 3 mountains, which may be volcanoes, are collectively known as Tharsis Montes. Arsia Mons is 20 kilometers high, Ascraeus Mons is 15 kilometers high, and Pavonis Mons is 14 kilometers high. These 3 mountains have caves that seem to be lava tubes and evidence of glaciers. As of 2017, Martian craters account for 21% of all impact craters in the solar system. Apart from the Moon, no other body has as many craters as Mars. The southern highlands of Mars are heavily cratered, while the northern lowlands have very little craters. In total, Mars has over 635,000 craters that have a diameter of at least 1 kilometer scattered around the planet. Hellas impact crater is the largest impact crater on Mars. It is a huge, fairly circular crater that is located in the southern hemisphere. It is 2,300 kilometers long and 9 kilometers deep. Hellas impact crater is one of the largest known impact craters in the solar system. In fact, because of the depth of this crater, the bottom of it is supposedly the lowest point on Mars. Another major crater on Mars is Huygens crater, which has a diameter of 467.25 kilometers. Overall, Mars and Venus have very different but also similar surface features. They are about the same color, both have experienced a major resurfacing event, and have massive shield volcanoes. However, Mars shows evidence of water with the water channels, while Venus has lava channels. Mars also has many more craters than Venus, while Venus has an overall smoother surface.